I was passionate about music, but I didn't have the opportunity to release anything. I was writing songs, but they were kept in the closet, per se. But then one day, I interned. I was actually the intern for my label.
Oh, you started as an
I started as an intern, so I had passion and love for music business.
Hey guys, welcome back to Mic Drop, a new series on my channel where we talk to inspiring individuals about their inspiring stories. My name is Ayn Bernos, your host, and today we are joined by Miss Universe Philippines Cavite 2024, Dia Maté.
Hi, Eileen. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to chat with you because we met way before the pageant life started. So tell me about how you started with this whole Miss Universe Philippines journey. What brought you here?
Well, first and foremost, I'm a musician, right? So that's where I really started. I'm with UMG Philippines and I write songs, I sing songs, I make music. But the whole pageantry thing came about around 2 years ago. I initially wasn't thinking about joining any pageants. I was really focused on being an artist. But the idea kind of came to me because of my mom. And she was like, you really have something to fight for. And she thought that it was a great platform to share those advocacies. And I had the amazing opportunity to be a part of Aces and Queens. So I train with them right now. And I've been with them since 2022. I actually wanted to join, I wanted to join Miss Universe last year, but I wasn't ready yet physically and mentally. So my camp put me in Miss Rotary Philippines. It's a newer, smaller pageant for the Rotary Rotarians. I placed top 10 with Best in Interview. So it was a really good training ground for me to be mentally and physically ready for Miss Universe, where I'm competing in right now.
Yeah. What are you most excited about the Miss Universe journey? Because it's definitely in the middle of everything. This is perhaps the biggest pageant in the country, the most coveted crown.
For sure.
What do you feel like, going into this?
For sure, I was a little bit nervous going into it because it is such a big platform. It's the biggest pageant here in the country and so many eyes are watching you. But I'm more taking it as an opportunity to really know myself more and to grow as an individual because it's such an amazing opportunity to learn from the other girls as well, the girls who have been in pageantry for so long, and to experience being in front of a crowd of people in a different way other than being a musician.
Yeah, going back to being a musician, what experience are you bringing from being an artist to being a beauty queen?
I feel like the main thing that I am bringing into pageantry from being a musician is the art of it all, I suppose. As a musician, I'm so raw, I'm so authentic, I'm so emotional. And that's what I like to put into my music. And that's what I want to transfer into being a beauty queen. Truly being myself, my raw, authentic self, whether it comes to my advocacy, even my rampa. May I trip, may I fall, may I stand tall. Either way, I just want to bring everything how I am as an artist into the beauty queen life.
Yeah. And what do you want to highlight naman? Because as you know, all eyes are on you now. All 52?
54.
Wow, 54. All 54 candidates, all eyes are on you now. And it's such a great opportunity to shed light into the things that you care about. Is there a specific cause that you're championing this year?
Well, it's always been my advocacy ever since. It's music as therapy for mental health and mental health awareness because I experienced a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety growing up. And the one thing that really kept me still and helped me, go about my everyday was music. I would make songs when I was sad. I would make songs when I was stressed. I would sing during my break. So music was really my life outside of school and outside of work. And that's what I really want to push to people is that we can find or we can use creative outlets as a way to relieve our stress and to as a way to, relieve all the hard things going on in our life. And most recently, early last year, started volunteering at Cribs Foundation. I teach piano and voice lessons to the girls there. And the girls there, they're from ages 7 to 17. They are from abused families, sexually, mentally abused. But when you meet them, they're the sweetest, most kind girls. You wouldn't know all of the trauma that they've been through. And
Mhm.
like whenever I teach them piano or voice, their eyes light up. And like I see myself in them, and I see how much they enjoy the music and how much it helps them.
That's awesome. Being able to pay forward what I guess you learned as a musician from a very young age. Let's go back to that. So you teach piano, you teach voice. How did you get into music? Like as a baby Dia.
As a baby me, oh my gosh, there are so many videos of me running around, either like pretending to be Hannah Montana, pretending to be a princess. Oh wow, I literally manifested my life in a little baby way. But you know, the usual, I had piano lessons, I had voice lessons, and I was just always doing music growing up, doing a lot of recitals. But I taught myself how to play guitar and ukulele, and I just ventured out into as well as music production. I really taught myself how to do that. And surprisingly, my parents are not musical at all. My brain just decided to, you know, be a musician one day when I was like 7 years old. So it started there. Going on into my life, in my teenage years, I started really writing songs when I was around 13 years old. And then, yeah, just progressed from there, kept performing. And then eventually I got signed to my label, and now I make music.
How do you I'm just curious about the process of going from, because I feel like it's such a unique place to come from as a beauty queen. Parang usually, and this is also something that I've learned from other beauty queens, na a lot of people go into pageantry so that they can launch their career. Whereas with you, you've already been working on your solo career, and then it's you have this detour, and I'm assuming, of course, you'll always go back to music, right? What made you decide to fight for your career, your music career? And what was that like, especially coming from a society that tells you you got to work a 9 to 5, etc., etc.? What was that like?
You know, it was a little hard at first. It can be very discouraging because as a musician, we don't really have competition, but Filipinos in general, we're so talented. You know, like your neighbor is singing like karaoke, diba? And then like your other friend is producing the best songs you've ever heard. And there's so many amazing OPM artists here in the Philippines. It's so hard to kind of place yourself as a musician, especially when you're still a developing artist. But what really inspired me and motivated to keep going or to stay in the industry was to prove it to myself and to my younger self that you can do it. You can be the Hannah Montana you dream to be, you know. And I guess I really was so lucky with the parents that I have because they're so supportive. They let me take a year off of school or before school to really focus on music when I first got signed. And kasi before that, I didn't have the opportunity to be a musician, you know. Before I was signed to my label, I was just a student. I was passionate about music, but I didn't have the opportunity to release anything. I was writing songs, but they were kept in the closet, per se. But then one day, I interned. I was actually the intern for my label.
Oh, you started as an intern.
I started as an intern. So I had passion and love for music business. And that's what I originally wanted to do.
So like behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. And I really loved that. It was so interesting to me. And that's what I want to study for university. But then I joined this online competition during the pandemic while I was an intern. And then our managing director, Enzo Valdez, he saw me in that competition and he knew I was an intern, and he was like, he saw my potential and he decided to sign me. And that was probably one of the main motivators right now, is if someone can see me, someone who was nobody at the time, like a nobody musician, I was just starting out and saw my potential enough to sign me, I have to keep going.
That's amazing. It really is so different when you have someone that believes in you, especially when they don't know you, they have nothing to gain from betting on you. That's so nice.
And at the time, I had no songs out whatsoever.
Really?
My discography was my random SoundCloud covers, my YouTube covers, some originals, and the competition. But from that, Enzo saw my potential and decided to sign me.
That's so cool. So what about naman in pageantry? I know you're with Aces and Queens.
Yes.
So how did that come to be? Because I know that for a lot of beauty queens, your camp is like your family. They help you. They teach you. So how do you get into Aces? What's the story there?
The story there was, it was 2022. So I had just released a few of my songs, like Kalimutan. And I was really in my music era talaga. Like, I just wanted to do music and that's all I wanted to do. But then my mom was like, why don't you try? As a pageant fan herself, being obsessed with pageants growing up, she's like, why don't you try it out? Like, there's this camp, Aces and Queens. And I also knew of Aces and Queens naman because of Pia Wurtzbach and Megan Young. So it's like, yeah, they're such a incredible camp. Why don't I try out? So I sent in my application and then I got in. And then I went into Okada. This was 2022 for screening. And there were so many girls. We were like 40, 50 in the waiting room. And it was crazy. I didn't know that there were so many girls per screening. So after that, I screened. It was my very first time doing something like that. I did a lot of public speaking in high school. So I wasn't afraid to speak.
That's good.
But it was a different experience being a beauty queen, standing the way you do, watching the other girls talk the way they do. So I tried to channel my best Pia Wurtzbach during that, during that screening. And then I got in. They saw my potential and they accepted me into the class of 2023. And now I'm also in the class of 2024. So it just went on from there.
The thing is, I was not shocked when I saw a couple of pageant bloggers kasi teasing na parang diamante, ganyan. And I was like, Dia Maté. Like, is this Dia Maté? I remember I commented pa, is she competing? And then later that day, I think you were announced and I was like, oh, finally. Because I remember when I saw you, as I told you earlier, na the first time I saw you, I already thought, bakit di siya beauty queen? And I'm glad the world is getting to see it. Finally,
Yes.
the universe,
Finally,
rather.
the universe, rather.
Speaking of the universe, rather, let's talk beauty queens,
Yes.
inspirations. You've mentioned Pia Wurtzbach. Would you say she's one of your biggest inspirations? And is there anything else that you've kind of looking into for inspiration?
I feel like Pia Wurtzbach is one of my biggest inspirations, not only because she did win our crown for after how many years, but because of all of the good things I've heard about her from other people that she's worked with. All they can say about her is that she's the most humble, the most kind queen, even though she is
Her.
She's Pia Wurtzbach, the iconic queen she is. She still remains humble and kind to this day. And that's what I strive to be, being able to treat people the same and being kind to others. Because I feel like you really have to be kind to other people. And to see someone at that stage in her life and that successful be able to be so humble is so inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of other queens that do inspire me, I feel like another one, Catriona. Again,
Of course.
even though she did win, I do believe she's very inspiring because she was once a musician. Or she started out as a musician.
She's a singer.
Yeah, she's a singer. And what she doesn't talk about in her interviews and what I found out from my label is that she wasn't indie artist. She was an underground artist before she started.
Oh.
So she was performing in like the likes of like Sagiho, 12
does?
Monkeys. Yeah, before she joined, I think Miss World or Miss Universe. That's what my label told me. And she was really like an underground. She's known as Cat Gray.
Oh
so
my
it's so cool to know that she was once in a position that I was in and now she's Catriona Gray. So it's so inspiring to look up to someone who is on the path that I am or was once on the path that I am now.
Yeah. And these two queens are just they're different, but they really show us the best of what Filipino pageantry can do. Because Catriona was so well prepared, so well prepared. She's so intentional about this, the whole strategy about her reign and her competition in like the global competition. And then Pia, we see her heart everywhere, every day. Speaking of that, have you thought about, because ako personally, during my first and only pageant, I had no strategies. Like it wasn't something that I thought about. But I learned later on that a lot of beauty queens, they have their strategies, they have their strengths that they really play with. Is that something that you've thought about at this point?
I feel like I have, because I guess with training, they always tell you, evaluate yourself, see what you are the strongest in and see what you are the weakest in and develop them both. But focus on what you are weakest at, because you can only get to a certain point with your best, but you can always improve your weakest point. So I guess my strategy for going into this, because I am the most confident in my speaking skills.
Love it.
Because I guess I'm trained very well by my Aces and Queens family, but also because of music and public speaking and being in interviews all the time, I'm sanay to those things per se. So what I need to work on is, of course, the pasarela, the rampa. And what I heard, I remember CJ Opiaza talking about it, was like rampa is not just walking. It's really showing your personality in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something I am developing as of the moment, but I know that I can get there.
That's so exciting. Pasarela, to me too, I agree with you. To me, that's the most challenging one.
Yes.
But you see how other people have really improved. So it's definitely a learnable skill. So I'm so excited to see what you're gonna come up with come coronation night.
We'll see.
Gano'n pa ba katagal until coronation? Like 3 months?
3 May
Oh my
ata.
gosh, ang tagal
I just know
pa.
it's very tagal.
Wow.
But
tagal pa.
it's good because we have, as girls, we have a lot of preparation to
Yeah.
do. So for sure,
Wow.
all of us will be competition ready by the time the pageant starts. At least the
Exciting.
final competition.
So speaking of the girls,
Yeah.
2024 has been dubbed the
Oh my.
Miss Universe Philippines All Stars.
Oh my gosh.
And the fact that you're here, honestly, it's incredible. You're inside that very elite group of candidates. How are you feeling about that? Did you know about it? Did you have an idea of how many girls will be joining?
At first, I thought it was gonna be 70 plus. Because that's
Dami.
that's the chika that was going around. There was
Yeah.
gonna be a lot of girls joining. But then it went to, when we were at the press presentation, that's when we
54.
found out 54 lang.
Ooh.
I feel like it's a good amount.
Mhm.
And with it, like, being part of the, I guess, quote unquote, all stars round, I feel very honored. Because as a pageant fan myself, seeing like Atiza being back, Christine
Oh
Macari
my
being back, it's like,
gosh.
oh, these women. And I remember at the press presentation, I was just admiring them from afar. Like, they're so pretty. You know what I mean? But ayun talaga, that's what there's a really big misconception with pageants. It's like they call it the bloodbath, the bardagulan. But that's not true. Like, a lot of the girls behind the stage, we're all trying to be friendly to each other, make friends. It's really a competition of coming from love.
Yeah.
Because we all are going into this pageant with our own intentions and with our hearts, and no one is out to get each other. Other girls are helping each other in the bathroom. I lent my lip gloss. I was giving girls food, like my
Yeah.
protein bar. So it's, everyone is here to help each other. No one is here to cut each other's throats. You
Yeah.
know? And it's just so amazing to, see these girls and, watch their performances and be inspired by them, and I can learn from them as well. It's not like I look at one girl per se and I'm like, oh, I can do better than that. No, it's the way people look at each other in this competition. It's like, oh, I can learn from you. Like, can you please give me advice on how to do this? And everyone's so generous with that, especially.
That's so true. I think one of my favorite parts of being in pageantry is the sisterhood that you gain. And I mean, people talk about it all the time, but it's so underrated. Kasi you're pit against each other all the time, especially online.
Yes.
But chill lang naman mga tao backstage.
Honestly, ang chill ng mga tao. And then I remember talking to all the girls. We were so hungry.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
And we're so thirsty and we're so cold.
Nakaka-excite niyan come coronation night pag nandun na kayo in one
Yeah,
place
I
and then
know.
getting ready for that.
But it's of course, like, going into it, everyone's still a bit nervous and we're all backstage still shy. But like towards the tail end, people were making friends na. And it's nice to see how these girls, like, how they present themselves. They're very admirable. It's very nice to see.
What do you expect from yourself come coronation night?
I expect myself to do my best. And I expect to be able to give my most raw, authentic self and my heart. Coming into this pageant, I really set my intention to not be so hard on myself, because with so many online bashers per se, so many opinions coming in from different people, it's so easy to let myself down in the sense where I listen to all these people and it affects my performance. So going into this, I really am focusing on myself and my own journey in order to be the best queen I can be. Yeah.
Is there any boundary that you're trying to set now that you're, again, in the very, very public eye of Miss Universe?
Ako naman, I feel like the main boundary really is to avoid too many comments. Because ako naman kasi, as a chica girl myself.
As a chica girl.
myself. Or, okay, hindi naman. But I used to love reading comments, especially the very positive ones because they're so uplifting and they motivate me to do better. What I'm thankful for is that I'm very sure of myself and I know who I am. I know what I can bring to the table. So I'm not so affected. But when they pile up, that's when it starts to affect me. You know? So the boundary that I'm really going to set is to not read as often.
Yeah.
Because I'm human. I'm only human. I can't stop myself from seeing these comments once in a while. And of course, when I check my notifications, they're gonna pop up either way and I'm still gonna see it. Right? So it's just more to not read as many comments and to just tune them out. In one ear, out the other.
You know, during my time, I had to set so many filters, the word filters. Like, there are words that trigger me so much and I just needed to protect my space. And that's just what you need to do sometimes because you have a 3-month journey.
Yeah.
It's a long way to go.
It's a long time.
If you hear it every day, it's really going to affect you. And you don't deserve that because you've worked so hard to be who you are now.
Yeah.
Only for
sure.
a couple of people to tear you down. Diba?
And a lot of those comments are invalidating.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've talked to some girls about this and even my artist friends. Like we all go through the same thing, being in the public eye is like, and even us, we connect on that. It's like seeing these comments we can't avoid it, but we can look away from it and look past it.
Yeah.
You know?
Marami talagang opinions and a lot of them are carelessly thrown around. People don't think about what you've gone through, what you've done to make these things work. But, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes boundaries just need to be strictly enforced and protect yourself.
Put it there.
Yeah.
Place the boundary. Exactly.
Now that you are here, you're Miss Universe Philippines Cavite 2023. You've come a long way from, of course, your journey building your own career and now stepping into this stage. Just to wrap things up, what would young Dia, who was learning how to play piano and doing all these lessons and doing all these public speaking stuff, what would she say to you if makita ka niya rumarampa sa Miss Universe?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I just want to bring this up. There's this one video of me when I was a kid in a fashion show. I was 7 years old. And I watched it back the other day and I was really like, wow, that was me as a kid. And I was the most fearless, carefree child. You know, when you're a kid, you're so innocent and you're not aware of how the world is. But that's honestly the most mentally happy we are is when we're children, and seeing that was like, wow, I was a rock star as a child, you know? And honestly, I feel like younger me back then would be the one hyping me up right now. Not only saying that she's proud of me, but saying, you can do it. If I can do it at 7 years old, you can make rampa in front of all of these people, you know? And not only that, I just feel like that young little me would just be so proud and in awe because not only that, because there were 2 stages of my childhood, diba? There was the one little fearless me that loved to make rampa and model, but there was also the me that was the nerdy kid. Not a lot of people know this about me, but I was the nerdy kid. I was bullied. That me would say something different. That me would be like, wow, you did it. You achieved our dream to be running for a Miss Universe, a musician. You're doing it all. I'm so proud of you, you know? And I just wish I could talk to that version of myself more and say to her na parang, you know, you can just wait. Just make tiis a little bit. You'll get there soon. So, younger me would just say that she's really proud of me.
That's amazing, being able to prove yourself right.
Yeah.
Especially the version of yourself that's always believed in you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dia.
Thank you so much,
for chatting with me and sharing your journey. And I can't wait 3 months from now to see you on the stage.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.